Hey guys, welcome to Data Science Tutorials, and in this video I will show you how you can produce the multiple variable regression model. So if you remember from my previous video, I have shown you how you can produce the linear regression model with the help of one variable, which was number of rooms in dwelling. Now the case is that we want to advance our study and wants to look at multiple variables to produce the multivariate regression model, which basically takes into account more than one variable to predict the outcome. So in this case, price. And if you remember, the variables are basically this CRIM, which is per capita crime rate by town, ZN, proportion of residential land zoned for lots over 25,000 square feet, Indus, CAS, NOx, RM, H, DIS, all of these one, and finally MEDV is basically a median value of owner occupied home in thousands of dollars, which is nothing but our predictor variable. Okay, so first of all, when we want to look at the multiple variable, one straightforward case is that we are just going ahead and picking up all of the entire data set. So in this case, the Boston.data. If I go ahead and execute this, here it is showing in array form what are all the variable values are. So I think there are some 8 or 10 different variables which it is showing. Now let's say if you are interested in looking at only specific data, so what you can do is you can put a colon and then comma. So what it is indicating is all the rows, and after that what are all the columns we want. Let's say we want the first 2 columns, say for example. So we will write 0 to 2. Go ahead and execute it, and here we have the first 2 columns. If we want only one column, so we'll write 0 to 1, and it will show us the values for the first column itself. So that's a quite tricky thing, because generally what we expect is 0 to 1 is column 0 and column 1, but here in this case keep in mind that only the first column is being shown, which is 1 over here. Alright, and similarly if we want 5, we will have to write 0 to 5, right, and in this case 5 column. So that's how you can select multiple columns. But if you want to select all of the columns, then simply write Boston.data, which will select all of the columns which are here. If I go up, so from column CRIM to L state up till here. Alright, let's go ahead and first of all apply the fit on all the columns, which is our very straightforward operation. So in that case we will say multi len reg and initialize the linear regression. Once we initialize this, we need to fit it. So before fitting, we need to get our x and y variable. So let's take as our Boston.data, and let's take y as our Boston.target variable. Okay, and then multi_len.fit method to fit all of these variables, x variables on y, as we want to predict the y. So x comma y. Alright, let's go ahead and execute this, and now I can see my intercept and coefficient. So for that I will write multivariate.intercept. Just close that. Intercept, and intercept is 36.49. We'll remove all these different values which are coming after that. And what it is basically indicate that keeping all the variable constant, if there is no change at all, then how much increase or decrease the value in house will going to be. So in this case it is indicating that 36, and if you remember, it is in thousands of dollars. So that's overall what it is taking is the $36.49 thousand is what. So 36,490 is 36,490 will be the value that will keep on increasing based on the variables that we have got. And same is what we look at is the coefficient, and we have these different coefficients number available, which will indicate about how we will build our expression. So in case of only one variable, if I go above, we had this negative intercept when we took the first only one variable, which was the fifth one about the number of rooms, and the coefficient was positive, which was 9.1, and it was predicting it based on that. And if you remember, the expression was that if I want to predict y, which is price in thousands of dollars, I will write what is my intercept minus 34.67 plus the slope, which is 9.1 times x. X is nothing but our number of rooms, and if we specify number of rooms, let's say 4, then what it indicates is 9 multiplied by 4 is 36. 36 minus 34 is what you get the outcome. So similarly we have predicted for 5, similarly we have predicted for 8, and so on and so forth. But now in case of multiple regression, if I go down over here, so it will be y is equals to, first of all, the intercept, which is 36.49 plus whatever is my first variable, x1, here in this case crime rate. So first intercept coefficient value is this, which is basically 0.107, negative 0.107. So what I'll write is negative 0.107 times crime rate, and then we have positive value, so I'll just go ahead and write positive, and since it is minus 0.2, it will be 0.046, and it's up to me about how many decimal points I want to go ahead. I just decided that I want to go ahead only up till the 3 decimal points. So 0.406 times whatever is the second variable, which is Zn or Zn, if you say like that, and so on and so forth. So you can see that based on these 13 variable values, this equation will be very, very long. So you can actually practice with it by writing it. I have just shown you how you will write the expression, and I will just write dot 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 and then negative 0.525 times the last variable, which is L state. If I go down here, alright, so I hope you got an idea about what I'm really doing, and that's how you will see that most of the statistical expressions are written whenever you are looking at the textbooks. But you can fill in these blanks with the help of these variables. This will give you a good idea about how you should really produce the application. Now after that, the straightforward approach is to predict multi-reg dot coefficient values, based on the coefficient values. So the method you will use is basically the predict, and then you need to supply the different values of this. So for example, in the earlier predict method, we were using only one variable, which was the number of rooms, so we provided the one value, and now since we have multiple values, we will have to provide that. So I'm leaving it up to you about the different values which you want to provide, but I want to cover just one other thing is for the presentation perspective, you may want to document this information into some sort of a nice looking data frame. So what you can really do is basically you can say that within a data frame, I want to combine the feature names and the values which are here. So for example, I will see multi-reg df is equals to td dot DataFrame, and then what I want is the first value as our feature names. So Boston dot feature names. If I go ahead and execute this, and if I show you, these are all the feature names. But since the columns name is not coming properly, what I'll write is the columns is equals to simply the name, and after that you will add the another column which is coefficients, COEF is equals to as series, pd.series, and say multi-indirect dot coefficient. So now if I see my data frame, here I have the features and their respective coefficients. So first one is negative 0.107, you are getting here. Second one was 0.04, you are getting over here, so on and so forth for the rest of the values. So that's pretty straightforward way about how you can document and print it, and then you can frame your basically expression or the equation and keep supplying the values, or you can use, as I mentioned, the predict value. If you don't want to create any expression, you can simply write the multi-rect.predict and supply these 12 different parameters. What according to you are those 12 different parameters? And with the help of this equation, as I mentioned in the previous video as well, where I showed you for one variable, you can allow the web application where person can adjust the age, the rad, and it will be multiplied with their respective coefficient, and based on the negative or addition or subtraction, the person will get the final output. So that way you will increase more interactivity now, because now you are exposing it to more variables. But think about this, in many cases people will not be really want to have these 5 or 10 different variables. So like I mentioned previously, if you want, you can reduce the variables by simply saying all the rows, but I want only first 5 variables, so I will say 0 to 5. So in this way I can get the different variables which I need, or the first 5 specific variables that I need. In that way I am not exposing the users to all those variables which probably they are not aware about, but only those variables which are really part of the intuitive nature, like number of rooms, crime rate, age, and all of those things, which is very easy. So that's one way about how you can do this. Another way is basically what you can do is, like we have created this data frame and all in the previous video, and not only from the data frame but also directly from the Boston.data. If I go down, I think I've come a lot of the Boston.data. If I show you to Boston.data, so I can remove even any specific variable if I want, right? So this way you can basically make your data set concise. And if you are not sure about how you can really do that, I have shown various methods in my previous videos in the Pandas series, where we can convert it in a data frame and do it.